Hello everyone, Sandy here with you this morning, doing a process video voiceover for you. I'm using the December limited edition kit from My Creative Scrapbook, which features primarily the 49 in market products as far as papers and embellishments are concerned. Here you can see me tearing away some of my paper. I've already had a piece of corrugated cardboard there that I peeled the first layer away from, and I want to tear my paper in that same location. And there I'm just using some white acrylic paint to dry brush over the ridges in the corrugated cardboard, and I dry that a little bit. And then I secure my paper when I know that that's going to fit just right. I do later go back and add some snow effects to the edges of those corrugated cardboard ridges just to give it a more Christmassy look and to kind of highlight them a little bit. And then next I decide on using that green solid paper from the collection, and I try to find a true center point here so I can kind of see where I want to line up the paper that I'm going to put right in the middle. I do end up kind of eyeballing it or measuring it and seeing that true center is not exactly where my eye's really comfortable with the paper being. So I do a little bit of both, but I also know kind of how I want my embellishments to be. So I want, X amount of room for those to be in. For today's project, I'm using a combination of the Beacon's 3-in-1 glue as well as my art glitter glue. There you can see I'm just using some peeled paint, distress ink to kind of go around my edges. I don't bother about using oxides very much, but particularly when I'm not going to be using any kind of water or other liquid. And then before doing any stenciling, I do my stamping, and I first start with some black StazOn ink, but later I do decide to go back with my Ranger archival ink because it's a little bit darker. It's a fresher ink for me as well. And then a few things that I regularly add to my Lucy layouts, meaning Lucille Ball, is I usually use this memory box stencil that's got circles in it. I usually add a heart, and then I usually add Lucy's name to my title. And so there you just see me using some molding paste that's from, I think it's from TCW. I really like the Liquitex super heavy gesso the best because it's a really pure white. There, for some reason, my camera app closed and you didn't see me build up the layers behind my photo, but I've got a combination of laser cut doily and then some chipboard tags from the chipboard set, and then that little ribbon that's also from one of the laser sets in the kit. And then I just begin auditioning some of my flowers and some of those chipboard pieces to make sure they're exactly what I want. Those little red floral chipboard pieces match the pattern paper just perfectly, and so that's why I opt to use them. And then I want to elevate my larger floral just a bit so it'll lay like I want it to on the photo, but also allow some room for another floral to come behind it and be just a little bit lower. I use some white chalk ink on the edges of some of those embellishments just so they'll show a little bit more against the papers and have a little bit of a frosty look to them. I do later come back and also add a floral pick from the floral kit that's that curled wire, but I do that off camera, and I think I do it at the conclusion of the project. And there you can see me putting some cardboard behind the sleigh to build it up a little bit. I thought about adding some packages, but I really like it just being there with the poinsettias. And then I do add a little chipboard element to it at the end to kind of be a subtitle. But I line that up just so. And then I come back with some more chipboard pieces and florals that I want to add to the right side of the photo. And after experimenting with where I want them to be, I go ahead and use my beacons on those. And then I come in with my floral from Little Birdie's Crafts and see how I like that to be. And then I think I do end up shortening that little stem just a bit so that it can tuck in just where I want it to be, because my cardboard was too full and it was kind of in the way. You've got to be flexible when you're scrapbooking for sure, right? So anyway, I do like to use my beacons when I think I'm going to reposition just a little bit or need to tuck something in. It can be a disadvantage if you accidentally bump after you've leveled your photos or your elements. But overall, I do like it, although it really smells. If you have any lung issues, I would recommend not using it. So there I'm just tucking in some more of that pine branch elements. I really did like those, and I added in that little pine cone there in a couple of places. I think they're really cute and a nice addition to your page. And there I'm just lifting up those pine needles just a little bit. And then I add my first heart for my Lucy layout and just tuck it right there in that empty space. And I put my pen in. That little title there that I put across the photo says "Slay It," and I thought that was really good for adding to this glamorous photo of Lucille Ball. These photos I usually use are almost at the vintage point, but they are old publicity photos, and I think any copyright would now go with Getty Images. And there I just use a skewer to kind of spread my glue out so it won't spread onto my photo. Just kind of line that up. You'll see me lift a lot just to make sure that things are lined up according to how my eye sees them. And then I do come back with that little black circular element that I really like. I try it somewhere else and don't like it so much, but I end up putting it right there on the sleigh. And then I go through those cut aparts that I've already cut, but I didn't see anything there I want to use. And so finally I decide to use this little book plate piece from the laser cut elements, or from the packaging, maybe. I think it's actually from the packaging. And I'm going to use the alphas that are in the kit. The alphas are just a little bit large for this piece, but I end up just going ahead and using them together. So I cut away the little book plate, and then as far as my alphas, I just line them up on a ruler. It's kind of tedious in doing it, but I did want them to be linear, and I wanted them to be spaced apart just so, you know how you do. And so I spent some time getting them on the ruler, and then when I ultimately do commit them to the little book place piece, I do that part off camera just so I don't have quite so much pressure. And I think I do adjust them just a tad in terms of the space between the letters. So you'll want to get those exactly how you like them, and then you'll put them on your piece. And I try to get it centered as much as possible. And then after that's done, I do come back with some vintage photo distress ink and ink the edges of that book plate, and then use some corrugated cardboard behind it to elevate it. And there I'm using my art glitter glue. I think I want it to dry a little faster once I get it in place, just for fear that I might bump it a little bit. So I kind of want it to be midway, but kind of staggered a little bit, so it's not too linear. And then I need to get the Y out of the way, so I had to be careful about that as well. And then before adding my pearls, I come back with a second heart that's in the laser cuts and add some glue to it. I think it kind of fills in right there and just completes that cluster on the right hand side of the photo. And I like how that looks, and I think that's finished, although I do take some more pieces and audition them around. The little light green one I do put over to the left of the photo, but not at the top. It's more over on the side. And then I come in with some stems that are from the floral package from from Little Birdies, and I tuck in the small floral and then also that little seeded piece. And then for my other floral clusters, I do come back with the curled wire that's in there, and it adds just a kind of a dimension that it's really cool. I like things to be very dimensional. They will still usually go in a page protector, and then I put my projects either in a 3D ring binder or they go in a plastic tub, and then very often they go to friends and family members who want some of my work. They're a great gift to give to the grandkids, so I let their mom worry about it. I try to use about an odd number of pearls whenever I'm putting them on my layouts, and you'll see me using an old wallpaper knife, and it just helps me get them off of the plastic and then repositioned all with one tool, and I don't have to fiddle with a couple of different tools or adding any additional adhesive. And then I come in with some Shimmers Gold Digger. I think it's part of the Color Splash collection, and I just splatter that all over the layout. And then I think at the very end, it might be off camera, I do come back and I also splatter some white acrylic paint just to kind of give it some snowy effect and some shabby chic appearance. And then there I'm pouring out some of my art glitter glue so that I can secure some red seed beads from my stash and some red glitter. And you'll see me using a little baby spoon to dip up those little seed beads. And it was one of my kids' baby spoons, and so every time I'm working and doing that, it always makes me think of my kids. So anyway, it kind of helps me place them kind of randomly around. But then I do come back and I later just put my brush in the glue and pick up the beads and add those around just sort of in a random fashion. You want them to look kind of just randomized and not strategically placed, if you will. I do thank you for coming by this morning and watching my process video. There'll be details below about how you can purchase a kit or subscribe if you want to become a member. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and thanks again for coming by. I'll see you next time.